Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. As you can tell by the title down below, in this video we're going to be canning up some homegrown pumpkins. Alright, so here I got some pumpkins. I'm not going to be canning these ones up, but I didn't really start on how I got these pumpkins prepped. So with these pumpkins, these ones are currently curing. The ones I have in storage that was kind of curing in a different section, two of them started to get moldy at the top here. Actually no, I do have one. I'll show you what it looks like. So if you can see where the stalk is, there's little bits of mold. I have killed off the mold. But there is still little bits of signs of mold in there. And how I killed it off is I just had it upside down because they did float a little bit in my kitchen sink for about 24 hours with a mixture of water, just cold tap water, and about a quarter of a cup of vinegar. With the pumpkins, one of them I chopped up, I diced up, and then I decided to go for a nap. So I just popped it in a pot with water and it's been in the fridge. I done that yesterday, so now we are today. I got my 500ml jars, which is essentially the same as a pint jar or a pint size. And I'm just taking it off, shaking off the excess. It doesn't really matter if there's excess water touching the pumpkins. And these cubes are roughly like a 1-inch cube is what I was aiming for. Obviously pumpkins are round, some pieces are more like triangle looking, but it's roughly, see how this one's more of a triangle looking, it's roughly the kind of same. I'm just trying to be strategic with fitting in the pumpkin, and I don't mind pushing in a little bit, but I obviously don't want to be doing that too much. So that I'm going to call as full. You definitely want to leave an inch of headspace, and we'll be filling this up with boiling water. And another thing to note as well with the pumpkin is generally you would want to parboil the pumpkin for about 2 to 4 minutes before filling it in the jars, but because mine is a hybrid variety and I know that this pumpkin is going to turn to mash within 15 minutes of boiling, I'm not going to parboil. I am very confident, which I shouldn't change recipes or experiment this way being so new to canning, but I'm very confident that these pumpkins are going to can just fine because of the type that they are. They are a very soft flesh pumpkin, and these will be processing in the pressure canner for 55 minutes. So even then I'm a bit worried that these might be too soft of a pumpkin to actually can. That's what I'm more worried about, rather than it not getting going completely right through. And you definitely do want to only can pumpkin in chunks, just how it is like this, because if you can it mashed or in a puree form, it's too dense and that the temperature or the pressure doesn't go right through to the center of the jar in the pumpkin, and that's where your bacteria is going to live, and then that's not going to make it stable. So with this one pumpkin that I did chop earlier, I've now got 6 jars, and I'm just taking out some more jars to get all of these jars canned up with pumpkin, or all this pumpkin canned up. I'm not going to, which I was originally going to chop up this pumpkin, which is the other one that didn't cure correctly. I might just share it, so I will give half to my mother-in-law because she just called and said that she wants some pumpkin, and that's completely fine. Like, we have got a lot of pumpkin, which actually I don't know the exact numbers. I will have it on the screen here, but we did do our final harvest, which was the pumpkins that I just showed you, which are these ones just sitting here. That was from our final harvest. So in total, with our 2 pumpkin vines, we grew 25 pumpkins. Yeah, 25 pumpkins, and it was 80 something kilos worth of pumpkin, but I forgot to measure 3 of them, so it was 22 measured. So now what I've done is I have decided that second pumpkin that needed to be used or preserved in some way, I did dice up. Alright, so now what I have decided to do is I did chop up the secondary pumpkin into the cubes. I chopped up half. My mother-in-law asked for half a pumpkin, so she had half of that one. I was going to keep the second half for the fridge for us to use throughout the week, but I decided because the first pumpkin I had 9 jars and I can only fit 7 jars in at a time, I didn't want to do the waiting game and everything like that, pressure canning it just for 2 jars. So I decided to just dice up the half, make 14 jars ready so I can have 2 full loads in the canner, because each load holds 7 jars. This is the remaining. I'm just going to put that to a smaller dish, cover it with water, and we'll use that throughout the week. And then we'll have 14 jars of pumpkin on our pantry shelf. And what I'm doing now is I just got some water there, just the same pot that I had the pumpkin soaking in. I just refreshed the water, and I got this up because I do want this water to be boiling, because we want boiling water added to the jars of pumpkin. And I'm also now going to get my pressure canner out and get that ready and on, so that is coming to the same temperature, so when the glass goes in the pressure cooker or the pressure canner, it won't get shocked. And I'm just going to add about 2 tablespoons of white vinegar. And you don't need to add vinegar in while canning. It's just going to help just to kind of keep the canner nice and clean, and you don't get any of that build up from the water. So now that I've got my water in here, I'm just going to pop on the lid. I think I'll just pop it on, but I'm not going to lock it. Just so then it can get nice and heated. Alright, so we got our water boiling. I'm only going to be filling 7 of these jars. I'm just using a clean 1/4 cup scoop measure. And I'm only going to be filling 7 of these jars. So then once the water in the pressure canner is up to temperature, the first lot of 7 can go in, and then otherwise these are going to be cooling slightly while we wait. I do want to leave 1 inch of headspace. We don't want to add any salt. You can add salt if you want, it's not necessary to preserve the pumpkin. So I'm just not going to worry about salt. Some salts can make it look a little cloudy over time in storage. Won't be nothing wrong with it. It's just the appearance. But we do want 1 inch of headspace. I feel like I hope they're not overpacked. I feel like this might be overpacked a little. I'm just not sure. Does it all have to be submerged? I'm not sure. So all I'm adding is just the pure pumpkin and just the boiling hot water and nothing else. Like I said, you can add some salt if you prefer to season it and to flavour it. But again, I'm just going to season it when I cook it. And I wasn't sure if the pumpkin pieces had to be completely submerged in the water. So I did quickly Google pressure canned pumpkin. And in pictures you can tell that there's some pumpkin that's not submerged. So just by judging by that, I'm just going to go with it. And hopefully it'll be all okay. So I've got some clean paper towel here. White vinegar. And all we want to do is just wipe the rims. And although these are clean brand new jars, I want to make sure that there's no chips or cracks or anything like that, because 1, manufacturing, it can happen, and 2, I've already came across a dented lid, although it was brand new. Well, that's manufacturing, but also I meant 2, when I wash these, I could have done something. So I'm not going to do the others until we fill that up with water. Now just topping them with a lid. Okay, yeah, these jars are hot, but they're not as hot as I was expecting, so that's alright. Now the lid. And people said to do it finger tight. I'm still not sure if it was too tight or too loose. With my first canning project, this is my second canning project, but yeah, I'm not exactly sure how tight is too tight or how loose is too loose, but we're just again winging it. Whoop. Okay, so this water's heated up nicely. These jars are nice and warm as well. So now return the lid. Woo. Alright, and now we want to wait for this to boil. I'm just going by sound and when this starts to vent. And once I notice it start to vent, I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes for adding the weight. And once I added the weight, that's when the pressure is going to start coming up. And to can these pumpkins, I want the pressure to be sitting about 12, no less than 10 and no more above 15. So I want to keep it in that range for about 55 minutes and then we'll come back when we're ready to take them out. Alright, so sorry about the lighting and shadowing. I'm experimenting with some little lights that Nick had given me. Anyway, so it was in pressure for 55 minutes. We then turned it off the heat. It went down to 0. This little pressure thing went down. That's 0. I took off the weight. We've waited 10 minutes. So now it's time to get them out. Whew, it is warm. I always forget how warm the lids are. Well, the lid is. That smells good. I also, in my last video, if you watched that, I held this with the green just because other tools that came with this, it's obvious the green part is the handle. So that was why I said the green here, but it just felt weird. Like that doesn't look like it should be a handle. With this shape, it looked more like a handle. And it was bugging me. So I am a few... Hang on, look at that. And all the bubbles coming up, that's cool. So yeah, it was bugging me. And I am in a few different groups. I'm just getting nervous because it just slides. Wow. So I did make a post in a thing and I said silly newbie question and I asked and everyone on there assured me that the green grippy parts is in fact what touches the ground and is not the handle. Oh man, it just makes me so nervous getting these out though. Wow, look at the bubbles in that one. So that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. This is now the day after I've taken off the rings. I'm just going to date, I'm just going to do March 23 and pumpkin. So I remember these are pumpkin, although it was pretty obvious, but you never know what I'll end up canning in the future. But yeah, they turned out great, I reckon. They all sealed correctly and I'm so stoked to now have 14 jars of pumpkin, like essentially 14 mils of pumpkin on our pantry shelf. It's just mind-blowing. This in itself is like a year's worth of pumpkin, probably, for Nick and myself. So, well, that's if we were to do roasted. If we were to do mashed pumpkin, I probably will use 2 jars. But still, it's crazy. So thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Subscribe down below so don't miss out on my future videos. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.